Gaming corporations are soulless now. And no, this isn't going to be one of those videos that are like, gaming just isn't the same anymore, says the COD, 2K, and GTA gamer. No, I'm just talking about PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. The big three, if you will. There are good things that these companies do, but I feel like as time goes along, these companies start to get less and less trustworthy and less unique. Mainly these two. Nintendo is still consistently making good exclusives for their consoles, which is good. PlayStation is mainly focused on doing hyper-realistic games and remasters of games that came out not even 10 years ago. And Xbox, it exists for sure. They're just sitting on Banjo and doing absolutely nothing with him. But it's okay, take your time. I'm not going to sit here and act like I could run all these companies, or even one of them for that matter. But when you are investing millions into an Overwatch clone when it's way past its prime,
I am so sorry, Quimbly.
and it ends up failing, you might want to rethink your business decisions. While I'm talking about PlayStation, can someone explain to me why they're charging $200 more for a pro version of a console that people already thought was expensive enough? This is giving me flashbacks to not so good days. Even not counting the price, it's getting harder and harder for me to personally justify spending more money on a console that are just getting more expensive because they're going up in price, but the exclusives being released for these consoles are taking longer and longer to come out. I think one thing that really annoys me about this generation of consoles is the treatment of older games from previous generations. Xbox does a surprisingly good job with backwards compatibility of Xbox and Xbox 360, but the other two do pretty bad. Starting off with PlayStation, they are slowly but surely rolling out some more classic games. My favorite so far being Sly 1, and they are slowly releasing some PSP games, also surprisingly, along with trophy support and widescreen support with certain games. But the rollout of these are pretty slow and only one batch of games is being added per month, and it's only 3-ish games. But my biggest complaint is the fact that they didn't release Sly 2 on its 20th anniversary, and instead decided to release fucking Mr. Mosquito. But I think the one that upsets me the most is how Nintendo is handling their classic games this generation. I don't think I even need to say what's wrong with this, but I will anyways. It's so strange to me that Nintendo decided to lock their old games behind a subscription service instead of just letting people buy them separate. They literally let people do that with not only the Wii, but even the Wii U. And if you're thinking, but it's only $20 a year for the subscription, I'd agree with you, that's not too bad. But when they lock the GBA games behind the expansion pass for $50 a year, that's when it starts to become an issue. And it's when I start to think, why Nintendo? I guess it's more of a nitpick, but I do wish I could buy the games individually just to have them all on one system. But I guess that's what I got my 2DS for.
Oh, shit.
Oh, and I almost forgot to mention the Mario 3D All-Stars situation. I'm sure most of you know what happened, but Nintendo released a 3D collection for Mario's anniversary that includes Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. And for some reason, Nintendo decided to make it available for a limited time only. Why did they decide to do this with a game that could sell millions of copies in the future? I don't know, but it's a decision I find to be stupid. What's even worse is that Mario 64 didn't even get widescreen support, and the other two games did. I find it to be so weird that these companies will bring classic games to these systems, but with the caveat of having the weirdest ways of accessing them. Except Xbox. You did good. Here's a gold star. I think just in general, the fact that you have to pay for online kinda sucks now, because before it was just you had to pay to play online, which was fine, but now these companies are adding a bunch of stuff to inflate the prices, mainly PlayStation. Incorporating PS Now into PS Plus was such a confusing change to me at first. My dumbass thought you had to pay more to play online, which kind of annoyed me, but I think you don't have to. And you could just pay the $60 a year for online or whatever it is. Editor's note, as I'm writing this video, I had to buy the online service to play Sparking Zero online, and I found out they increased the price from $60 to $80 for no reason. That fucking sucks. That's why I try to stick with PC for online gaming for the most part. One of my biggest issues with these companies, except Nintendo, is the fact when it comes to new exclusives and brand new titles for the most part, we are getting the most generic action games possible, or over-the-shoulder shooters. I'm not necessarily saying these games are bad, but man, a part of me really wants to see these companies come up with new and unique concepts for games that we haven't seen, or make smaller games that don't take 5 to 7 years to make, because it is so annoying having to wait that long for a game and have it not live up to the expectations, or even have a game be in development for 5 to 7 years and just never come out. Or the third option, have a game that takes that long and it comes out a broken mess. This might be the single biggest issue I have with gaming now. It's a good thing that there's a bunch of great indie games that have come out, because if not for them, I think I'd be just over with gaming. Another thing that makes me so sad now with gaming that I had noticed is the fact that if these companies' games don't sell nearly as good as something like Call of Duty, then there's almost zero chance of a sequel. The prime example of this is Hi-Fi Rush. I ended up playing this game and I loved it. When I finished it, I thought to myself, man, this game is great. I can't wait for the sequel. And then a few months later, it got announced that Tango Gameworks was being shut down by Xbox. Oh, this hurt. Thankfully, another company was able to buy them and resurrect them, so we should be getting the sequel, but if they didn't, man, I would be so sad. This game is so fun and unique, even if I suck at it, but just this single action made me hate Xbox. This game is the most unique and interesting game we've gotten from Xbox in a long while, and they didn't even want to consider giving it a sequel. And from what I know, it sold pretty decently, and that just makes me sad. There are so many games out there that are just kind of alright or good, but could be better, and then they get a sequel that ends up knocking it out of the park and improving on the former game by a shit ton. So the fact that if a game doesn't put up COD numbers nowadays, because of how expensive games are now, that the chance of a sequel are slim to none, makes me upset. Like, imagine if we didn't get an Uncharted 2, or a Kingdom Hearts 2, or a Sly 2. A lot of 2s, but 2 out of the 3 of those games are some of my favorite games of all time. So if they just chose to not make these sequels because, oh well, they didn't perform well, I'm not sure how they performed, but you get my point. So the thought of no Hi-Fi Rush sequel, or just any sequel to any newer game now, kind of makes me upset because of how much greatness we could be missing out on. Speaking of greatness, why don't we get games on our consoles anymore? This could warrant a whole video of its own, so I won't dive too much into it, but the fact that we don't get any games to play with our brand new consoles now sucks so much, man. Whether it's something small like Face Raiders on the 3DS, or something you could sink countless hours into like Wii Sports, I wish we would get more of these. Surprisingly enough, out of all the companies this generation, PlayStation included a game with the PS5 at launch, which admittedly I did not play for a long while, but Astro's Playroom is a great showcase of the power of the PS5 and was really fun, which is something every pack-in game should strive for. But the other two companies this generation, absolutely nothing from what I know. To my knowledge, Xbox has never really done pack-in games like the other two companies have, but I'm genuinely surprised Nintendo didn't have a game like Wii Sports on the Switch at launch. And now the main reason I even wanted to make this video in the first place, it's a big one, so get ready for it. Are you ready? Alright, I'm gonna assume you're ready. The biggest thing that upsets me with these gaming companies now is no themes. I hate how these companies choose just not to include customizable home screens of almost any form at all now, or just have the most basic ones. You guys remember the Wii, right? Most of you probably remember it because of its home screen. It's iconic. The TV look of it made it stand out from the others at the time, and each game you have being counted as channels is so cool. And this isn't even counting the other channels that are built in on the system. The Mii channel has all the Miis you've created just walking around, and it's something I find to be really cool. And I know a lot of you would pick up your Miis just to fuck with them. Don't lie now. And then you have the Wii Shop channel. Although the look of it is pretty simple, it's the music that makes it iconic and the downloading progress bar. And Nintendo's other one I'd consider to be just as great, although pretty simple, is the GameCube's startup screen. Everyone knows it's iconic. Startup. Every time I turn on the GameCube, I have to sit through this. I don't care if I have something else I need to get done right now, I'm sitting through it. And the fact that if you hold a certain button before the jingle starts, changes the sound of the jingle, is such a cool detail that I didn't even find out until about 2 years ago. But with the Switch,
there's nothing.
If you want customization with the Switch, you need to go mod it. Don't tell anyone I said that. But at least Nintendo was nice enough to give you the option between black and white, right? No. This system is already so cool, and I think having some sort of themes available would have been great, even if I have to pay for them. And this isn't even counting just towards Nintendo. I'm looking at you also, PlayStation. The PS5 has one of, if not the most boring home screens I've ever seen. It's also just kind of bad in my opinion. The fact that the games are just kind of in the top corner of the system is kind of weird. And if there is a way to do this, let me know. But from what I know, if you want to go to the back of your games library, you have to completely scroll all the way down just to look at them. When on the PS4, you could just instantly hit R1 to go straight back towards them. And I hate that there's no themes. Everyone, including me, loves the themes that they had on PS4. And the bare minimum they could let us do is choose a picture to have as a background. And they do let you do that now, but it only shows up on the hub tab of the home screen. Why? Oh wait, I know why. It's so they can advertise in-game purchases. Ugh. Even the PS3 had some cool themes, so why can't we get them on the PS5? And don't even get me started on the music that plays when you hover over some of the games. I hate when I'm playing games at 1 in the morning and I keep hearing that stupid Spider-Man Miles Morales music blast in my ears for the 100th time. Make it stop. And from what I know, there's no way to turn off the music besides muting my audio. But you know, I'm too lazy to do that. So what was the point of this video? I don't know. I just kind of felt like ranting a bit on why a lot of these companies just really grind my gears nowadays. Like, hello PlayStation, you decide to make games like this, but won't even bring back Sly Cooper? Tell me why not. This isn't even just a PlayStation issue exclusively. Every gaming company does this. Every gaming company is sitting on so many good IPs and just do nothing with them. And it's just sad. And they are slowly starting to lose any sort of sense of personality they once had. Food, water, themes. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to me yap. My name is Scarrr, and I'll see you in the next one.